Oh, okay, I guess it doesn't do the transition if I do from that one. What up, gang? We're here with more bonus content. This one from episode 13. Marcio's here. And on the funny weed number, we're doing the funny weed card. And by that, I mean the top 5 best and worst green. If this is your first time doing the color ones, go back and watch the other ones. Because we do go over the format. It's basically up until the current English release, which by the time this comes out for the public will be BT16, so we're going to be a little bit speculative on BT16, but we'll do our top 5 best cards and top 5 worst cards, not including vanillas, and we're going to try and avoid doing old card bad, like new card good, that type of thing. We will talk about aces, cards on the ban list, which is a lot for green, and eggs as well, but we're basically just going to be limiting this to Digimon that have done a lot or done a whole not a lot. If you see a 2-color card, and you're thinking, wow, why was that not on this list? Maybe go check the other colors. We might have already put it on there. We're trying not to get repeats. But yeah, we got green player extraordinaire, Marcio, in for Boko for this one.
Hello. I freaking love green, man. Green is always like a weird color because like you'd think that like a color that is quote unquote fair would have the least amount of cards on the ban list, but you'd be surprised the kind of stupid shit they printed. So I mean, we're doing Digimon, so no HPD or like BT1 Mimi.
Yes.
And I think when you look at green, those are like the two not worst offenders, but it's like...
They're your power floor.
Yeah, it's like, can I justify not running these cards? Right? Most green decks will by default run those cards.
Yep.
That's the one thing. It's like, if you remember back to the olden days of BT, 1 and 2 and 3, it was just like blue and red was like automatically Gaia Force and Hammer Spark. Well, green hasn't really moved away from that. We're still on Mimi and HBD for the most part.
Yeah. Although, I guess in terms of, they also do have a lot of Digimon on the ban list. Like probably what, second most after
Green's
purple?
Green's got a lot of power put into its guys because Green's unfair thing is cheating its resources. It's like, whereas like blue and purple have it just in excess, green has it in efficiency. So like everything green does is by not paying for it and not meaningfully trading for it.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to that, you get a lot of either cards that make it easy to get good guys or good guys themselves. So when you talk about Digimon on the ban list, like the two that everyone points the finger at is the 5s, which like we could talk about BlossomMon and Argomon 5 just like on their own.
Yep.
Like Argomon 5 was for a very long time just a better BlossomMon and therefore on the ban list by his own virtue, and then they made plant searchability really broken, so BlossomMon died too. These days, paying nothing for Digivolving is an understood to be broken thing that no one can ever really deny again. So
yeah, I mean, trainings are trying to get people caught up to what Argomon and BlossomMon were doing and just offer it.
Yeah. Some of the least ever coming back off the ban list cards they've ever made. Kind of wild. Yeah, those are the ban list guys at least. Am I being stupid? Is there another Digimon on there?
I'm gathering some guys right
wait,
now.
was Ceresmon on the list or was it
just
close to-
HPD?
No. It was HPD and Argo and Blossom.
Ceresmon itself. I mean, Ceresmon is a fun way to represent a deck, but I don't think when you think about Ceresmon as the Digimon card of all time, I don't think it's the green card of all time.
No. So
Before we actually do any Digimon, Marcio, me and Tom were talking about it. What do you think is the best green egg up until BT16?
give me 1 sec and I'll be able to tell you. Let me bring it up. The best green egg. Personally, off the top of my head, I would have to go with Kokomon. But that's because Kokomon supplements 3 decks on its own somewhat. Between plants, both Bloom and Rose, would play Coco, and Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Coco was basically like the first draw egg that didn't require you to have an opponent. Because if you look at Panemon, Panemon was the first draw egg.
The green's draw egg.
It required you to attack an opponent's Digimon, and Gummymon required you to suspend an opponent's Digimon.
Yeah, there's Tanemon too, right? But that's Tamers?
Which Tanemon?
The like the
Oh yeah, the green one.
Yeah, the Digimon
Oh,
one.
when you play a tamer, but yeah, Pinamon, Pina
Yeah.
Gummy came first, then Coco, then
Mhm.
Tanemon.
Oh, yeah, this one's not even green one yet, because green one yet is
Sardak towards the end.
yeah.
Yeah, so the best green egg, I think the new Fluffball, Fluffymon, has potential, but I guess we're only doing English release.
Yeah. So we'll go up to BT 16 because I don't know when we're getting the start
Yeah.
dates in English.
Green eggs tend to be very weird because they're either insignificant or they matter like so much. For example, in the case of Yokomon, like BT5 Yokomon, that card was super important because it meant that it let Grandis go to 18 KDP. It was very good good for Grandis. It was very good for both like the early OTK versions of the deck that, didn't actually OTK but just put the opponent on 0 security, as well as things like Hercules, Raffleziemon, those kinds of decks that, leaned in on the Digiburst. Often you had to choose when you wanted to use your Yokomon, so Yokomon was pretty impactful. Argomon has the potential.
Yeah, Argomon was actually my pick, which is why I definitely wanted your opinion, because like Argomon was like the one that like stood out to me as like, yo, this thing does a lot, but like
Yes,
draw power is also kind of good.
Argomon was basically like the go-to because if you were controlling the board, it was very easy for you to get the Argo back to you.
Yeah.
So you were always going to get that memory. Unless your deck specifically needed DP, Argomon was like.
And then I guess when Quartz came out, Quartz kind of like stopped a lot of people from unsuspending, including your own board. I think when I started playing, I was like, oh wow, Argo does a lot. So when it was like reprinted as an alt in the Beelzebub starter, I was like, oh, finally I've got Argomon. Then Quartz is like, yeah, you're not unsuspended.
Well, in BT12, you still ran it because we only got Coco in EX4.
Yeah.
So in BT12 BloomLord, we still ran things like the Argomon and the Torikarabalmon and stuff.
All right. Well, we'll look in Cocomon then, because yeah,
I think
Cocomon.
I think Cocomon is the most recent, bestest one. I think it's generic enough, but again, like green, how do I say this? Red has like new BT15 Koromon. That's just like when you check a security, draw one. I think that card is objectively pretty powerful. And for a while, red eggs were basically like, am I called Greymon? If yes, I play Draw Koro. If not, I play Gurimon. Right? Because red didn't need its egg. Red never needed its egg. It was only like a handful of decks. Green decks tend, the egg matters a lot more because a lot of the time your deck's power is like, how efficiently can I get to my top end? Well, I need my egg to do something to make up for that. Or like, if you just have piss poor DP, then you'd want a good DP egg.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's get in some Digimon. Let's think of some good ones, think of some stinkers, some poopy cards.
So, some early good ones, off the top of my head. It depends if you want to talk restricted or not restricted.
So restricted cards have their own little segment because they are on the restricted list, so they're not taking up our good old top 5 spot.
What were you gonna say,
I was gonna say we always do this whenever we do these videos, which is that like one of the things that you have to look at. We had a big talk about this with Blue decks with Jambo, which is that like looking at the cards in terms of like not just their historical context, but like the straight up just the power of them at the time when they were the good card. Like we were like, oh, what's the best card in Blue Hybrid, and is Blue Hybrid the best Blue deck ever?
Oh
like,
yeah, that is
getting into stuff like that. Green is interesting because like the first like busted green decks aren't necessarily busted because of their Digimon. Green had really excellent like rounding out Digimon cards like Bancho Stingmon or Dragon Mode, and like Green Omnimon is like the first time I'm like, oh Lamau, look at that. But so arguably those two feel like the first 2 picks for me. I think we said kind of Sarasmon on the way in here. It's like I don't necessarily think Sarasmon is the pick for that original Digizorption deck.
Yeah.
You'd have picked the 2 cards already on the ban list.
I'm almost done collecting some of my example cards that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing the same. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards picked out already. So
yeah,
not all of them obviously are good and bad or whatever, but
one thing we also
see which ones you pick.
One thing we do also note is we do try and pick one card of a line per thing. So like black wasn't just the entire Doru like Alphamon line. It was just like, I think we put the one on the ban list.
Where the fuck are the promos?
They're
Oh,
at the
there we
bottom
go.
of card app.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think I picked out some decent ones. Yeah, I think I picked out some good ones.
All right, run us through
Okay.
it.
So, for my list, so I mean these are in no particular orders, but like we
Yeah.
can just quickly go through
Yeah.
them. So, one of the most generic ones I think is Memory Floodgate Terriermon. Now,
Good pick.
I think at the time it was just you played it because of its effect, and it
Mhm.
was like green was privileged because we had the best Floodgate at the time in our color. And the fact it was called Terriermon was not super relevant at the time. Now it's very relevant.
I love
Mhm.
when Double Typhoon spits that thing out for
Yep.
nothing.
Archetype support makes old cards better.
Yeah, Terriermon is like my early pick in terms of like, wow, this card was like objectively very good at the time. Even now, it's a card that has held up.
Yeah,
and
Terriermon is actually like one of the reasons that like when we talk about the floodgates that Blue is missing, I'm like, I hope it's a Veemon because I'm so mad that the other armor just has an in-archetype like floodgate of
Yeah.
any kind. It's like, give
It's
me a
very
Veemon
nice.
that stops me from reducing play cost. Give.
I think it's neat too, because like you said, we're trying to avoid multiple archetypes. I'm glad you have this one as your pick, because I put this and Mega Gargomon Ace down, and for the life of me could not tell you which one I think independently at its peak is the more
Well, we do
influential.
have a very fun little segment for ace cards because ace cards are starting to become more relevant and hopefully eventually, I mean, Mega Gargomon Ace is basically competing with Ibonwu. In black, it was the easiest, best black ace, but now versus Ibonwu, is it still the best green ace? The answer is yes.
Probably. So,
Hells yeah.
so then other card that I picked, I think, okay, I hate to pick floodgates, but because green decks tend to be more specific, like in terms of the kind of deck that it is, it's either like insectoids or plants. It's sometimes you do have a little bit of in between or
Show
completely different.
me the Pomumon.
Yeah, Pomemon I think is like, it's a very good card considering that when it came out in BT9 we were playing OTK meta and this card didn't really get to flourish during its set release, but because of BloomLord this card became so powerful, not only like to play against it but also to use it in engine versus other decks that also want to go wide. I remember that in BT10 this card was really very relevant to me because that's how I won my store championships on Grandis, because I knew that people were going to play Jesmon and Crossheart, and so I wanted a card that basically said you can't really use Zendro, you have to show me Akari, and if you're using Akari to remove this, well, you're giving me a body to like do all my grandest bullshit into. As well as into Jesmon, it was basically like, oh, I caught you lacking on the wrong Bauhawk. Cool, I just floodgate you out of the game.
Yeah, I think Pomumon being like a trait searchable, like I think we did it for the black ones as well. We put like, they have some really unique floodgates that are like in an archetype. I think if we put Pomu and Terrier just like as a joint spot, because they're both searchable in their own archetypes and are some of the best floodgates in the game.
I agree.
Am I being silly? Is there a third green one?
Not at this time, no.
It is just those two, but they are both incredibly...
Yeah, they're both fantastic.
Yeah, incredibly usable thanks to their name/traits.
So, another card that I put down for rookies was the new Star Deck Terriermon. And this is basically like Double Typhoon as a package, but mostly Star Deck Terriermon. I think this card is like super insane because not only do you get that's Terriermon X.
I was gonna say we have BT16. I know a Terriermon's making the list, but
yeah.
I mean, but like how many
bottom.
archetypes in green get to be as pushed as one of the main characters from the seasons of the show, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this Terriermon, I can think of like 3 to 4 decks off the top of my head that want to play this card actively. Green Hybrid loves this card, Leopardmon loves this card, Terriermon itself loves this card, Hercules Alliance loves this card, Hercules unironically can play this card. And it's also the fact that, double Typhoon and all this other thing. But generally, I think this terriermon is like the premier green rookie. You want to cheat out your tamers for cheap, and it gives you DP all turn. This is like the perfect rookie. It has value, it has passive value, it has immediate value. The name is fantastic. Like, this is just it's a super rare. Like, it's a super rare rookie.
Yeah.
It does things that the Tentomon can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So
we'll put the floodgates in our honorable mentions again, and then I think ST17 Terriermon is like
one of the best.
One of the cards of all
Easily.
time.
Do you have a pick for a shitter?
Oh yeah,
after
do you have a shitter? We like to bounce back and forth so we don't just
Okay,
end
do
on
you
a
want me to give you-
sludge. Give me something yucky.
I have a shitter if you guys don't have
Okay.
one off the dome.
Give me something yucky.
BT7 Abominamon.
Yeah, BT7 Armour.
Every time you read this card, it becomes more and more apparent that it was designed.
one of the worst
Yeah.
cards of all.
It's just truly garbage.
It was like designed for us to get punished by like the ban list. Like 2 sets later, I was still eating shit because my bad, HPD is in my color,
Yeah.
and they
This
gave
card
me
is-
this as a super rare.
5 cost
This-
Evo, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then gain 1 for each of your opponents suspended. Opponent's turn, all your opponent's Digimon gain, you must trash 1 card. What the fuck?
So this card is bad for a number of reasons. It never actually had a threshold where it was useful in a metagame, because at no point would you play this in a go wide green mirror match, and go wide decks were at their all-time worst, least playable garbage in BT7. There was absolutely no justification for playing a go wide deck when blue hybrid existed.
Oh
So,
yeah.
You
This card
could not.
fucking sucks.
This card had literally negative usage, and I guarantee you negatively contributed to its win rates. It also, when it would have then become useful, was immediately made worse by the fact that it costs 5. The memory gain is not really effective, like in most of its actual scenarios. Reducing its cost would have been better in green and probably more thematic, but all of the sovereigns had to do the same thing. And then the must trash 1 to unsuspend thing was like actively unsynergistic for what you wanted to do with the color. So the whole thing sucks. This card's a disaster.
This card is just like actively bad.
Love it. What a glow up that the ace had.
Yeah, the ace. If you talk to some people, they say this is the worst of the sovereign aces, and it is as bad
Really?
as Veemon.
It's the second best.
I think it's
I think since the starter deck came out, this card's really had a glow up. But like, it is the least do something out of the sovereigns off from hand. Like, because the prerequisite. This one is green, so it's like all about how much can you play around the resources you already have. So it's like for every Deva and Sovereign, as opposed to the others that are just like, hey, fuck your level 5.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
So yeah, it's a weird one.
I guess
But yeah,
it's-
BT7 Abominamon is garbage.
I guess it's more just like it does the unsuspend lockdown for like stuff like unsuspend phase is pretty cool, but yeah, it's not like Rosemont Burst Mode where it just locks that shit
Does it?
down.
Yeah.
So if you want another like green all-star, I'm torn between, if we want to go from like 3 to 6, I'm torn between Nidhogg and Ancient Troymon.
Yes! These
It's gotta be Nidhogg.
These were both on
is-
my list.
Nidhogg more consistently sees success, I would say,
Okay,
than
yeah,
Ancient
Okay,
that's what I was
but-
gonna say.
You didn't sit across from Josh at SIS as he turn 2 slams Ancient Trimon and goes, "Can you answer it?" And the answer is no. He
Okay.
locks your shit down.
So, Nidhogg, I think, is sort of like the first ever, like, not, green massive board wipe, but it was basically like the first, like, real ass, like, boss monster, right? Like, between the fact that you had avenues to suspend the opponent's cards, and then you just had this gun loaded at any point, like, versus a wide board, you could just, Nidhogg and wipe the whole board. The card was extremely relevant on release, and it was relevant all the way up to, I want to say, BT5. So
It got Brad his top at Warsaw in Ultimate Cup. Like in the green
Yes.
format when green was dominating, instead of going Hydra, Nidhogg was
it
sometimes
got my
an
top
answer.
as well. Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. It was relevant for 2 sets on release, BT5, and then it was relevant again during the Ulti Cup, and it was probably relevant again during Green Cup, I want to say. So this card has popped in and out of relevance. it's green's generic board wipe. The only, I mean, 13 KDP was really strong back then. Now it kind of just sits there and usually converts into like a quartz or something, which we'll talk about. But Nidhogg, I think, is just like a fantastic, like, it was like one of green's like premier generic boss monsters. The card is just amazing.
Yeah, it is a shame that it's a Digiburst 4, because in an age where we have Zudo, it does mean that it could just straight up be dead in hand if you've had any source strip interaction.
Yeah. There were some cute combos like you could do, like there's the on deletion Palmon that puts a Palmon into source. There were like ways to like put it back, like, you know, get an extra material for Digizorping. It was neat. Man, Nidhogg was great. Now, on the other opposite of the spectrum, we have Ancient Troymon. And Ancient Troymon's like a weird card because this was really, like, this was actually the super rare in BT6.
Yeah.
This was actually the super rare of BT6. This card was like kind of insane at the time for like how good it was. It gave green like a defensive line. I think it was like the first card that gave green like a truly first good defensive line. Just it was good against like wide boards. It just held down the fort. Funnily enough, it did have Arbomon and Petalgramon to play off it. Like if it died, it would float, which was something that green didn't really have before. But this card, you know, Horse Gaming, this was the first one. This is Ancient Horse Gaming. This card is one of the best green cards ever.
It's also like, it's like weird because this is one of those other ones where it's like there are certain cards like Terriermon where like archetypal support remains like a threat for this card being useful. And like this card has stayed well statted, like a 13k giant green idiot, when we're about to get another ancient plant / 10 warriors thing. Like this is a plant. Yep. It has double dipped into green hybrid and plants. Like it's got a lot of things going for it.
I mean, also when green hybrid came out, this was your secondary level 6. This card is pretty nifty. Now
I have to see what they do with it going forward.
Yeah, I just think also the fact that it's like suspend 2 of their Digimon without blockers obviously shuts down aggro decks, but also it means that you also have to commit swinging with a blocker. So it's just setting up for you to go face in such a like when digivolving happy way. It's just like, like imagine green players being on this like into Nume. They swing and their whole board goes sideways. Go nice.
I have some suggestions for shitters if you guys are interested.
You want some level 6 stinkers?
I got another 2 level 3 stinkers before I even have to get to the 6 stinkers.
Okay.
The first one is ST9 Kokabutariumon. It is just it's embarrassing.
This
card pissed me off.
It has like 5 different things to make it shitty when it didn't need any of them.
Yeah, this card like actually pissed me off because I thought that it was like, oh, Kokabutariumon is going to be in the green star deck. This is great. It means that we're going to get green hybrid support. Maybe it'll be our, you know, Flamemon equivalent, and it'll be so good. Wait, why does it only work with blue cards?
Yeah,
that was this is an Imperialmon starter deck, and you will like it.
This card is so bad. I don't want to talk about this card anymore.
It also evolves only on green as well. Like even in Imperial, it was a brick because like if you weren't
not evolving.
Sure, I guess you have Pinamon in the starter deck, but the moment you improve Imperial, it's unplayable.
It did get the greatest redemption arc of all time.
Yeah, the later Kokabutariumon is amazing, but
welcome back to the family, son.
This is a bug, but it's like they didn't even do them the favor of being a hybrid card either. So it's like even then they throw limiters on the guy when he could be even stronger. So I get why. I think it's sort of strange.
It's a searcher with an ESF.
Yeah, I forget the Flamemon. I forget the Flamemon and Strabimon are classed as hybrids.
My other shitty level 3 that I wanted to mention, these are like rounding out some of my shitter picks, is Dokunemon from BT4.
Oh yeah, that card fucking sucks.
Top 3 for Digiburst. We have to resist every week to not just shit on Digiburst because it is the worst mechanic in Digimon.
Okay.
But Green did play with Digiburst at a level that was better than a lot of the other colors, so it saw a little bit more use for it.
Green was the best Digiburst deck. We had the best.
The best 2 Digiburst decks.
Yes, we had the best 2 Digiburst decks, and we had the best Digiburst support. We got the recurring rookie, and then we have the Weedmon. We had a truly useful Digiburst with Leomon. Hercules is very useful, and one of my picks of like best green cards of all time is also a Digiburst card. This card, however, it was just kind of ahead of its time in a weird way, and it just kind of didn't really do much.
It's one of those that if they manage to figure out how to fix and save that archetype whilst actually using the keyword, this card could see play again. But like the new KnTElixar that just goes sideways and searches 5 for a thing is like, you'd have to have your Digiburst not be an insect in order for this to see play.
They're gonna also have to go throw this Digimon a bone because larva isn't a searchable term. So it's just one of those things where it's like some of the bugs are not treated kindly.
No, very kind.
So KnTElixar is another
An honorable mention, I want to say, the first green boss monster, Vanilla Tidamon. That card has a special place in my heart.
He's great, but we're trying to ignore Vanillas.
Yeah.
No. I'm just, it's like,
honorable mention for Tidamon beatdown.
Because it was like Green's actually first boss monster. Like the deck was called Tidamon Beatdown.
I was kind of curious to see if Titamon was going to show up on this list on the lower half of it, because they printed some new Titamons that are still...
Oh no, I can never shit on the new Titamon from 11 because he was my pre-release all-star.
Yeah, that card is a pre-release.
That card went nuts in pre-release.
To be fair, Marcia, when he was playing like the green purple like list, the act cooked me. He printed like 300 million memory and just blew me up into the sun.
Yeah,
that better come back for silly week, bro. I'm trying to see people die.
Maybe I'll come back. Some other Sarasmon is a weird one because Sarasmon was only good because it was so ahead of its time.
Cards. Yeah.
So Sarasmon is like, while yes, it was a very good card, I don't think it stood up the test of time. A card that I think is worth talking about now is Promo Grand Quagamon.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
Everyone knew it was gonna show up.
I think this is like the most head-ass green card of all time. This is why the color is balanced around the fact that,
Is this just number 1?
I think.
No, because even when it was at its best, it was still never the individual single format warping Omega deck.
Well,
Grandis was busted, but Grandis always was a big fish. That was my alarm. I need to go check out on my pizza in a little bit, so you might have to do some editing.
Yeah, that's good. I always have to edit these anyway.
So, Granku, it wasn't just during BT9 format. The card, since release, was a build-around. Mm-hmm. Like, the idea of green OTK was always there because of this card. Mm-hmm. And it was essentially like you would Digiburst twice, 3 checks, swing something, like just swing, right? Like you had the Palmon to give you jamming, it didn't really matter, and then you would go into Chaosmon if the opponent had a Digimon on the board, and you would, do 6 checks worth of damage. Yeah. It was actually kind of insane because you'd play BT1 Mimi, so you'd promote, Mimi tap, stack, and then it was basically like, okay, I blew your security, you have nothing left, and you have to figure out a way to stop me from going for game at a period where most decks, their line of defense was either healing 1 if you were yellow or putting up a blocker, which did not matter for green.
Yeah.
This card was like the most ignorant green card of all time.
I think it's a great contender for number 1. The thing I think that it gets held up on, because I'm not questioning it in any way. This is also in my short list of the best green cards ever. I don't think it's number 1 because I think of a certain level 7 that was splashable in a lot of stuff for a very long time. Or maybe a different level. Yeah, but at the lowest I'd ever compromise on is 3rd place.
Yeah, so this is definitely at least like a 3rd place card.
I have a Stinker level 6 if you guys are interested.
All right, let's do a Stinker level 6.
You have one?
Check his
there are a bunch, but I'm going to throw Medieval Gallantmon out here because unique in green, it is even worse in any green deck than it could have ever been archetypally.
Yeah, we don't claim him.
Yeah, this card is every reason that it was ever fringe usable in Gallantmon makes it unusable in actual green decks. It's embarrassingly bad for green. They don't need big security Digimon. They would have rather had things battle because the entire intent for this deck is battle. Why would you choose to pop little guys when the deck can take advantage of keeping them sideways? Suspending 1 big guy. There are about 500 cards that do this better. This card has... There used to be this meme with green 6s about they either had 13 KDP, cost 3 to digivolve or suspended something when you digivolve.
It was
attack.
suspend, pierce, 3 costs.
Yeah, and it was like you could only have 2. This card has none.
Yeah, it was either you costed 3 and you suspended but you didn't have piercing, or you had piercing and you suspended but you costed 4, or like
5 like Mega Gargomon.
Yeah, Hercules Terriermon starter deck costed 4 and he suspends and pierces. Technically, you could make him cost 3 if you played Veemon and Leomon, because you'd like raise Leomon, burst the Veemon, you'd go up a memory to mitigate the cost of your Hercules. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was comfy. Yeah, this card just fucking sucks, dude. Like, not once have I ever considered this card in my deck building.
Yeah, it's tremendously bad.
It's insanely bad.
Peak.
Yeah, it's also really funny that he's like, they were super like wishy-washy about it. It's not even Vortex Warrior tag, so it's like, it's going to fail.
I need to go check on food.
Yeah, no worries.
Maybe they'll errata it. One more for the binder.
It wouldn't be the first time they've ever errated green for absolutely no reason except pure consistency, and then proceeded to not do that for any other color.
Bro, if they'll give Doraemon an X antibody tag errata, they'll give it to other stuff one day down the line.
I can pray.
I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but...
Alright. Whilst Marcio's looking, I'm trying to think what others... The two of us.
I have like 5 more things tapped up.
Hell yeah. I'm looking at like... Button show Leo on delete suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon. Ugh. Some of these old Leomon cards are terrible.
Yeah, there are some real shitters. They weren't kind to Leomon for a very long time. I have a Graph Leomon from that same set, sucks too.
The BT4, the when attacking gain
like
1.
Gain a memory. There's also Morphomons and stuff.
It's crazy that like that card does that in BT4, and then in what, EX4 or 5, whenever we EX5, it's now like when attacking attack step bottom deck unsuspend warp. Do your taxes. Like, what is he doing?
What is Brett talking about?
Bro has effects. Damn. I know we weren't going to mention vanillas, but...
Green is the vanilla color, though.
Why does
like,
Garbagement cost 3 to keep?
I mean, if we're going to talk the best vanillas, there's like Mushroomon and Cockroachmon, or Roachmon, I guess. But like,
shout out to my boy Potamon.
Yeah, exactly. It just goes up and up and up. I'm a big fan of my 3K bug that I played in Shivamon.
Yeah. I'm just like, 3 is bad for a vanilla.
Yeah,
like,
that's awful.
That is a level 5 that you probably just dropped. Like, I mean, it's a 5 drop, which is like, I guess it's like, really, you should not evolve this, but like, AK 5 drop, not bad. But the 3 cost Evo is awful.
They were consistently unkind to some of these guys too. Like, there are a number of these Digimon that just literally never get anything good. Like, it's kind of wild. Like, Cherrymon broke the mold where he finally got something useful, but like, goddamn.
Just looking and seeing another green Leomon with an undulation.
Right. I'm back.
Welcome. Whoa, that was the right one.
Yeah. In 15 minutes, I'll just have to, like, when my alarm goes off, Emily will just like pop out to turn it off.
No worries.
So I should be good to finish it off.
All right. We haven't actually ordered any of them yet, but that is
that's
fine. Me and Tom were just chatting about like some other just straight up stinkers. We mentioned Potamon in case the middle bit doesn't make it. Potamon mentioned today.
Oh, the potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of the potato, I saw I was looking at these Leomons, and there's a lot of like shitty on deletions, like ones that they have, but there is
one who, in my eyes, Jagamon's funny.
Yeah, this card, it's a modern card. Like, I get in theory it could spit out 2 blockers, but it's going like -2 in hand if your body dies. On a level 5 is kind of expensive.
With Yakimon, I remember Yaki. Yaki was cool. It was a blocker that we could play out in plans. It was neat.
But yeah, this card too.
Yeah, this card's not great. So Leomons in green have always been weird, but I think there's one Leomon. It's like, I don't think it's like the best Leo of all time, but it's like, god damn, is this card like actually really good? It just doesn't really have a home. But as an individual green card, it's like, want to put in an honorable mention at least, and that is Bancho Leomon. I think Bancho Leomon is really good. Andrew, I mean, you guys have all heard me lose my mind over how Bancho Leomon just kind of solos some matchups.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to explain why this card is so good up until you run it and you play it, and then it just clicks.
Yeah. Even without that first line of text that just makes it the most horrendous card to play off of Leopardmon, this card is this card is let down by the fact that it doesn't, like, Leomons don't have...
It doesn't have Fortitude.
It doesn't have Tamers, it doesn't have Fortitude, and Spencer is not a real card.
No. And unlike a card that they would print down the line for BT16, like Rapid X, this guy's limiting once per turn. Like, I understand what they're going for with the second attack minus, but like, there are cards that they would later release that were just like, no, you must be this tall to ride, and Bancho Leomon kind of makes it fairer by comparison.
Yeah, it was the trial run of the horrendous cards that we're getting later on. But Bancho Leomon, despite him being yellow first, he's still a green card in my eyes. He suspends.
Leomon as an archetype is like, they really solidly are like, this is a green deck. This is the new kind of green deck.
Yeah, it was blue for a while, and now they're settled on green. But yeah, Bancho Leomon's like a nice honorable mention. I like this card a lot. I think this card's neat.
Yeah, I like him.
We could somewhat talk about plants like Bloom Hydra.
We gotta talk. I think if you look at the individual guy, it's Bloom.
Yes.
Like, when we talk the guy.
We need to talk about Bloom. Because Bloom for a while, it was... So, EX10 after Grandis, and they realized that, oh wow, maybe maybe these OTK decks are kind of problematic. They were like, let's come up with a new game plan for green. And the game plan was, it plays on board, it makes a bunch of guys, and green finally has a proactive game plan. Which is, oh, you're not giving me anything to do? I'm gonna make a board of like 6 guys. I'm gonna swing for 16k, 3 checks. And congratulations, you now have to answer all of this. I have a Cherrymon, which Cherrymon is very influential. It was another green, like, weird line of defense, with the redirect. It wasn't a blocker. It protected your board somewhat. It was neat. Like, Cherrymon is great, and, it's part of the whole Bloom plan pile.
This format all-star Ajatar, like, one of the cards of all time.
Ajatar was the one that I was going to talk about.
Yeah, like, Bloom is the obvious one, but damn, like...
Ajatar, target level 5 doesn't, like...
Yeah, some archetypes would probably be more fair to say that they have an Ajatar.
Yes. Ajatar is basically like most of the power budget of Bloom. Like the games where you're going to Bloom through Ajatar and you don't are night and day. Half of the time you're setting up to go into Ajatar. Ajatar is a loaded grenade in their nursery that is pretty much able to answer just about anything in the game.
Yeah, it being a main instead of Digivolve is like actually huge for its playability.
It's just so flexible the way the plant cards move. And like BloomLord, it is the best HPD abuser of all time. Like this card,
because it was the best Digimon player of all time.
Yes, BloomLord is an amazing card. Like, there's a reason why there was sort of like a resurgence of green players, because Bloom, you watch, a good Bloom player pop off and make a wide board, and it's crazy. Like, it makes you want to pick up the deck. It's like, I want to do that. The deck suspends, the deck bot decks, the deck pierces, bajillion checks, defensive lines, floodgate, search power, draw power. The deck is a very, like, complete deck.
Yeah, I mean, at the like, obviously now purple is easily the most banned color on the ban list, but there was a time where it was like comfortably green, especially like the fact that it got hit so many extra times in Ultimate Cup when we're playing the monocolor format. They were like, okay, Bloom is like tier 0. Okay, let's step it. Oh, it's still tier 0. Okay, let's step it down again. And they had HPD on the ban list at the start for green.
I thought that Ajatar was going to get limited to 1 at some point. I thought that Bandai was basically saying, we don't want you to play BloomLord anymore. Stop playing BloomLord. But it was just because they printed something so good, and the things that they kept printing afterwards were just not it. Like, don't make me bring up Tyrannomon.
Yeah, I have a theory on BloomLord, because you were right that like we all kind of had independent moments where it was like, Bloom's getting it. It's coming. And like after Blossomon got hit, like Blossomon was Blossomon is weird because it is a distinct kind of unfair bullshit because it costs literally nothing at all.
It was a ban in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a future ban.
Bloom's crazy cards like Ajatar or even itself, like I don't think Bloom will ever be on the ban list. I just want to preface that before the commenters say something. But it is less likely to lose something like Ajatar because Bandai really hit their stride around this point where it was like, oh, this is how you make an archetype airtight. Like there are no other decks abusing Ajatar. They do not exist. There are like fringe freak cases where people would use shit in Alliance, but like that was only because Alliance's original wave was so like unfairly hamstringed. Ajatar is not going anywhere because the plant stuff is coherent, and if they think the plants ever get too strong, there are other balancing levers that they can bring.
Yeah, and they can just stop giving things rule text that say also treated as vegetation, which they are not doing. Kiwimon has vegetation text just in case.
Yeah.
So I think Bloom as like a deck escaped being green good stuff by having a strong enough plant tag. That's why some of these cards are kind of safe.
Yeah, it is crazy that we live in a world where like your games are decided by whether you find Ajatar rather than one of your 2 0-cost Evos that are on the ban list. Where you're like, I had to use Blossom or Argo instead of Ajatar. So cringe, dude. Like, you evolve for 0 and somehow this is a negative.
It's like basically like the plant cards are generic enough because they all find each other. But there's a clear cutoff where, oh, I'm playing against Bloom versus, oh, I'm playing against Rose, and it's like it's at the level 5 point.
That's true.
Ajatar just kind of does it all. Like, still does not have any alt arts or Judge Pack version or whatever. He just has a nice simple pre-release.
I'm telling you, the moment an alt gets print for that, they shoot this card into the dirt.
You guys are asking for something.
You get like a premium Bandai. People buy like their 2 sets of it to get their play set, and they were like, "Yo, thanks for the money. Anyways, this card needs to go."
And you mentioned like it differs from Rosemon at its 5s, but even then, like they're all still playing plants and fairies.
So
yeah, like the 4s and the 3s and 4s.
None of them are like double dipping randomly to steal Leomon's green good stuff. You know what I mean? Like the deck is safe.
And there's something to say about like Hydra. I think like Hydra at one point could have maybe been the card to hit because Hydra can sometimes feel the most oppressive because it was like the card. So like Bloom when it came out in BT10, while it was kind of good, it was not anything more than like a tier 2 deck because it only had
it was incomplete.
It was like I have my 2 to 3 swings and I have my pseudo blocker. When we got Hydra, that's when it was like, oh, we got Hydra and we got the suspend Pomumon, and it was just like, oh, my deck can actually interact with your deck in more than one way. And not only that, I have a lingering like pseudo floodgate. It's like if you attempt to swing into my stuff, you're going to get punished.
That's something that like people kind of take for granted in a lot of decks these days. Like this was sort of the first meta threat deck that had been like, I actually think other than like Black, which could digivolve and delete because that's just what their cards do. This is kind of the first and only time, especially when you look at the context of that year. I'm like, is this an O2 stamp card? Yeah, it is an O2 stamp card. There is no other deck in that top format that has 2 distinct kinds of removal like this. Like bot deck and killing in combat is super crazy for this. Like Cross Art was all deletion. Lilith Loop was all deletion. Melga was bounce. Veemon was pop. Like the decks did not
Veemon had pseudo raid with the BT8 metal gray.
Yeah, like
but that's because it had black cards with like digivolve. Sure, like that's what I mean. It's like Black had like a cheater thing because its effects that remove you don't kill you. But yeah,
you're exactly right. Like the reason why Bloom was so good is because in EX3 you had a good matchup into War Greymon because it was like, oh, I put you sideways and I punch you, and against Melga I put you sideways and you go to the bottom of the deck. And just having to like the foundation of your 2/6s was just like so good that you just always had an answer for everything. That's why the deck just like lived for so long.
To this day, most colors do not have this. Like Yellow Vaccine is all DP minus for its removal.
And even like we got sprinkles of like support that were like so like nothing burgers, and the deck just got better and better and better. Like your top end never had to change, you just optimize your bottom end.
Yeah, it was
like,
solid. It was like
And even then, like there were points where like me and Emily, we would be able to be like 3 a.m. and we were like, dude, what if we like ran what if we ran Mushroomon, because it's like randomly like good, like a 2-cost vanilla, because you know, being able to slam it for 2 and let you do certain routes that you normally don't have access to. And that's the thing about this deck, is that the way that the cards all move together, it felt like you were playing like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Ass deck, because your combos could change at midpoint. You were like, oh, I drew into something that is going to vastly change the way that I do the rest of the turn.
when you draw
And
5
sometimes that
turns
was
off your
HPD.
inherits, and then you find HPD. It's like, well, I had a route, and now this route just got really simple.
Yeah, but it was like Bloom in the plan pile was like basically the Greymon for pretty much a year. Like I was shoehorning. I was forced to play Bloom for like a year because it was just, there was nothing better in green to play, and the deck just kept getting better.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to put Ajatar, if you want to put Bloom itself. I think it's Ajatar, just because.
I think it's Ajatar because like Bloom is a really interesting one because he basically dono walls all the aggressive like green cards. Like, yeah, sure, we just saw Rosemon finally do like outplace it in something, but that, you know, miracle run probably. Hydra has been largely replaced by Quantum, which is what also I think knocks it down a peg. Like, yes, they technically do different things, but your second 6 is your Quantum most of the time.
Hydra was very problematic during the Ultimate Cup, so much so that because of Bloom's dominance, it was put on put on the restricted list for the Ultimate Cup for monocolor.
Which is interesting because like Bloom is obviously the like the star-studded card, the card that we've been dodging for the entire video. Quartz obviously is a thing, but I think being locked down was annoying. Being locked down and then your only chance of making it back getting bottom decked at the end of turn because they made a Hydra on top of a cherry that wasn't doing anything is ridiculous. So I fully agreed with that being the card they hit. Like Bloom punching you, hitting you for 3 checks, annoying. Like, cool. They're at least playing Digimon, doing the game. When they lock down the board, annoying. When they lock down the board and my board gets smaller every turn, infuriating.
I think there's a strange trend. People just like, there are green haters, man, but I think they have this like fake concept of how good the deck ever, like the deck was amazing, but like so much of its perception is tainted by the Ulti Cup format that I really think it was just completely unbeatable. It wasn't ever completely unbeatable. It was just the straight up only monocolor deck. Crossheart existed and was meta threat a million colors. All the X antibody decks lost Cool Boy and X antibody.
Blue Flare was somewhat around.
Blue Flare was all right, yeah, but it lost a lot of its like crazy kill stuff that made it legitimately
Blue
unfair.
Flare's
Machine
issue
was
was that-
slower as well in Ultimate Cup, and then Red Hybrid was maybe the best Ultimate Cup after the bans, but
after it got its second wave,
and you had to dodge Machine, which was
but like Red Hybrid in the first Ultimate Cup was it was no BT12 cards.
It didn't have support.
Right, yeah. So like
it was like Ancient War Greymon.
The red deck in the original wave of Ulti Cups was Gallantmon.
Yeah, it was Gallantmon.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it was because Gallantmon had a good blue matchup.
And it had Takatas. Like its support cards weren't lost by having to use Cool Boy.
I think
I want to say, my last thing I'll say about Ajatar. I think this is going to be a really interesting video when we look back on this in a year, because I know, because this line features prominently in Ghost Game, there will be another BloomLord and there will be another Ajatar probably within the next 12
BloomLord X.
I do not think that in 12 months, when they print, if there is another Ajatar and another BloomLord, people will not say the BloomLord that we have now is the bad BloomLord. I think there is a chance they power creep Ajatar.
That would be crazy.
But because Bloom is the thing that people in their head build around, like Bloom is a prime candidate for the next RB set.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think in a year's time, I want to put Ajatar on the list. I think he's the card that defines current BloomLord, but I don't think in a year we'll look so smart when BloomLord is the guy still. So I'm down for Ajatar, and comment on us, and if you see this on your YouTube recommended, let us know.
Give me 1 second. Can you just turn off the oven and open it, and then I'll sort out the rest. All right. Yeah.
All right.
How many got there in the good ones?
Yeah, we got 6 on the good ones. And is there any?
There's a couple. So.
We don't even have Quartz on this.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so this is like number 1 or 2 spot for the good green ones, and that is Quartz. Quartz being like the first level 7 for green. I
think it's number 1.
It just at the time it was basically like, what? Okay, are you a green deck? Can you go into Quartz and can you get value off of it? Well, Bloom became immediately powerful because it just went into Quartz and
there were black decks that just went into Quartz.
yeah, like Leomon saw experimentation
it's the
because
best
it was like
black level 7.
yeah, it was the best black level 7, it was the best white level 7, it was the best level 7 for hunters. The card just polarized so many matchups, like anything trying to Digicross or what's the other one? Digi-up. Cross up, you know, just getting validated by Quartz. You needed to have very specific like pieces in hand to beat it. Very good into hybrids. Very good into
OTK, blue unsuspend OTK.
Blue unsuspend decks.
Like shoutouts to Allforce for having one format where it was fringe high tier and then Quartzmon got released.
Yep. And it also gave green like a way to safely like deal damage without actually having to check security.
Security burn good. It's crazy.
Literally every color should have security burn.
It was like the card was so good that you could, even if you drew into HPD off of like your BloomLord Evo, you could just HPD into Quartz.
Yeah.
And then print a bajillion memory.
Yeah, print more memory. Oh, Quartz was actually so good that Imperial played it. Like, you remember Shinikari Imperial, the memory printer builds?
Yeah.
I will throw this out. This Quartz is my personal pick for the best green card.
I think it's the best green card of all time.
I also think Bandai thinks that, which is why Quartzmon is the only BloomLord card so far from the BT12 all-time strongest BloomLord list where it's had a reprint. This card has had a reprint in Japan. And
the LM pack?
LM pack Quartz, yeah. This is the only one. So I think they know it is the build around for green for basically the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Which is
so many decks. So many decks are like, can I just put in a Quartz and make some of my matchups better? And the answer for that a lot of times is yes. Leopard can go into Quartz, Terrier can go into Quartz, Leomon can go into Quartz. What are some other good green decks? Alliance can go into Quartz. Alliance can actually do something really funny because the Cherubimon gives the effect when this Digimon dies, you play it out again.
You
if
can
they
split
out
the Quartz back out.
you just Quartz back out. You could mask change into Quartz. Do you guys remember Armor Texture Yamon?
Yes, sir. That was a very funny deck.
I get fucked up when I think about this because this card even saw like fringe success in like Dark Master's control too.
Yes.
Like there's just 1,000 permutations where this thing is useful.
If
this card was funny and good enough,
Digimon.
Yeah, if this card did silly enough things that you could armor purge into it and ignore its when digivolving, and it still was like, wow, this could win a game. That's how you know this is the best green card.
It's also just really interesting that
we haven't even talked about it in Hunters.
You can tell that green are never getting an unsuspend inherit. Through hell or high water, they will never give green.
We literally do.
On who?
Parrotmon and Grangalemon.
Wait, is that non?
No, they're not tied to birds either.
Oh
look
my.
Look at
scroll right to the bottom of the thing. Or he's piercing, actually, never mind.
When this Digimon deletes it, we're so cooked.
It's not even when it deletes. If you look at Grangalemon, it's when it attacks.
Oh yeah.
So it's like strictly better than that too.
Okay, fellas, buy your alt Quartzmons now because
the best
I mean, yeah.
Also, funny thing, because of Zephyr. Okay, well now I'm just kind of like cooking, but like Zephyrgamon becomes unaffected, which means that you can make your Quartz unaffected.
Yeah, but it's just.
And you can give it blocker with the new Kazuya.
Yeah, you can give it blocker. Blocker Quartz.
When attacking suspend something, then trash the top card for every 5. That allows decks that can unsuspend to use it more than once because they were like, surely this card will never turn upright during my turn.
Never.
No, sir.
Oh my god, if there's ever a way to give this thing Vortex.
I mean, it doesn't even need Vortex if you're going to be unsuspended. You just need to swing, burn 2, unsuspend, swing, burn 2, unsuspend. The game is over.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chadku OTK.
Oh, true. It's just a good card.
Yeah.
I would put probably like Quartz #1, and then for historic reasons, I want to put
Granku second.
Granku second.
Yeah, cool. I was thinking the same thing.
I think those are like the correct
Wait, isn't Granku on the ban list? Why is he allowed here?
Oh shit, you're right. You're
Are we not
right.
doing-
Yeah.
Yeah, ban cards get to go into a separate baby jail.
Oh, okay, then yeah, Ajatar is probably number 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. That card is just like too insane.
Do
Yeah.
we class Ajatar and Bloom
one
as
per
the
archetype.
same line? Yeah. So
Yeah,
I guess Bloom
but
is.
like,
No, Bloom
You
is a
know what I
hunter's
mean.
card too. Like we let what's it called? Oh my
What?
god.
Bloom is a
Bloom is
hunter's card?
sorry, Quartz is a hunter's card as well. I
Oh,
apologize,
sure.
the wrong thing.
Okay.
yeah.
Like it's not really archetypally locked. It's just like Bloom
Right.
was the best abuser of the best level set.
Unidentified makes it Diaboromon, like regardless of like, oh yeah, they can use it because it's black. It's like no, it's unidentified, so it triggers
I'm
a
trying to
rapper.
think. I'm trying to think if we were being hypocritical in any way, but like between what have we done? Red, blue, black, and yellow so far,
Haven't
and
done
it's
yellow.
like we haven't done yellow. That's right. That's right. Yeah, spoilers. I had my yellow 5 picked out anyway. Doesn't matter. I don't
Well-
think any. We've never had like this is far enough apart from BloomLord that I don't think it's the same.
Yeah. So for the other 5, you can basically just look at like historically like the best decks at the time and be like, well, this card kind of defined that era in the
Yeah.
same way that like
Do we
know.
do we put like the ST17 Terriermon because that card is whack?
Yeah,
As number 3?
I think that card is number 5 just because like
It's
It's
yet
still
to
gonna
prove
do
itself.
more.
I mean, like
Yeah,
it's
like-
got some tops, but it's not like.
It's
It's
not
just-
Nidhoggmon.
it's
But-
just a generic tool like
Shouldn't
that
it be
green,
number
like
4?
every green deck.
Because we've like the other options
You
for
want
the
level
3
4?
is we've got Nidhogg and we've number 4. We've got Nidhogg, Ancient Troymon, and Terriermon as like the cards we've spoken about as a good card. So if we
Oh,
use
for number 4, it's Promo Quagga.
Yeah, that is a good call.
oh, shit, yeah.
Although, I mean, if we've taken Granku off the list, so this works for me.
Yeah,
It's Grand Quagga. Sorry, it's just Quaggamon Promo.
yeah, God.
This card is basically like a generic piece of cardboard that can go in like you can
Is this one
slam
better
it-
than Okua? The Okua promo that was Grandis food?
the level 5.
Yeah, I don't think we're not
level 5
necessarily going to worry
was
about the levels here,
What, the
but
little
like,
the little ice
It was
wall?
more specific. Yeah, the bug ice wall is like a little bit more specific. I think this just can kind of be slotted into most green decks. And
yeah, that is a great point.
it'll do something.
It being on play
like-
when digivolving is pretty big as
Yes,
well because a 4-drop is
great.
not is not a big investment. If you're like, hey, I'm gonna lock down something, you better not turn it.
Especially
Digimon-
as of
Digimon
especially,
or
yeah.
Tamer.
Especially considering that as of the time of this video's release, Tyrant is out, like Lamau.
And also, this card is big ol' bucks.
Yeah, hope you got yours
Like-
early.
Let me bring up card
Yeah, we
market.
didn't even
This
talk
card,
about any of the 60. Like we mentioned.
I mean, if we're going to include 16, there is one card in 16 that I think really deserves the mention here, but we can't include him if we've picked Terriermon.
Quaggamon is currently $25.
Rapid.
Average actually around like 30.
Rapid X would be my pick for the best green card from BT16.
Yeah.
but
I think it's Metal.
we've picked Terriermon.
I would say Metal Life, but you know.
Yeah, but Metal Life is like, this card is a
Okay.
whole fucking
Sure.
gatekeeper.
Rapid X, if you wanted to include a future pick, this card was the closest to the Bozo card of BT16.
yeah,
Is this card more bozo than Magnamon?
DP
goes
minus
in
is
more
inherently unfun to play around.
It goes in more
Does it go more decks? It's just because like Veemon armor and Patamon armor are the same thing, but Yellow Vaccine steals them both anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it goes in, like you can play this card in,
It
that card-
sees some use in Alliance, some use in Leopard, and then the rest of it is like Terriermon and Yellow
Yeah.
Vaccine.
Well, I think
yeah, that's like 4 decks.
Yeah,
Four
Rapidmon.
decks using a secret rare to keep themselves relevant,
Yeah, I get
like-
your point.
right? It's like
Yeah.
the card is that good to lift those decks to relevancy.
Is it?
The card is also like low-key oppressive because you can never be on board against it. You have to be bigger than it, which is effectively a 15k.
It has bug blitz.
It has bug blitz, and it also gains memory, and it purges.
Bro, this shit has Blitz.
Yeah, it has pseudo blitz.
It has Blitz. It has like War Greymon Secret Rare
Yeah.
Blitz.
It's
It
the
also-
EX blitz that they started putting.
It's
Yeah.
also all turns.
God, this shit is good.
It's got 2 alterns as well. Like one of them, obviously, you can take out with if you have Source Strip, but like
Mhm.
the fact that it's when an opponent's Digimon is deleted by battle or 0 DP is so annoying because like Patamon was at
You
least
can
0
turn skip
DP.
people with this.
Yeah, I think
It's so It's
Oh, this
also
comes
the
back.
Rapidmon name is really funny because it means that Gargo can go on top of it and you can sparkle a fate back into it. Like you can do like funny loops between the Gargo and the Rapid, like just mode changing between the two.
And
Yeah.
it does have Purge, so at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you don't have exactly DP minus for the mirror, you are losing. In like the
It
happy
board
slot.
wipes, it controls. This is like if you want like a number 5, it's probably this.
I
Like,
think I would be more comfortable putting this over Terriermon. Even though Terriermon
Yeah.
is an all-star, the thing about this card is that I think when you think about it, it is a Terriermon card, and we're trying to stick to one per archetype, right?
Yeah.
that's the thing about like green, right? Is like fundamentally greens like 4s and 5s are just vehicles to get to your 6 because that's what
Yeah,
your
because
power
it's
is.
all about efficiency.
Yeah, you just gotta be as efficient as possible getting to your 6. And Rapid X like it's going to be one of green's like go-to,
It's so efficient to getting to your 6, it skips 5.
Yeah.
It also gains memory, so it makes it even more efficient. Like usually you evolve for 4 on your Armour X version, and then I pass turn. This is it. This can refund 2 of that cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when we were using Magna X, we were having to go Magnum, become big, swing with X antibodies, get into Magna X. Like, that's my turn pass. This is just like, evolve into
first
Rapid,
time-
suspend, -5. Fuck it, let's swing now.
The first time I saw Alliance with Scrambles, where they would use Scrambles to go into this thing, and then the Scramble would be set for their Alliance turn later, it was just like, this is from hell. This
Yeah.
deck is from hell.
It's just a good ass card.
All right, the final
We gotta do
slot.
the shitters, though, right?
Yeah, we do. We've
For
still got the
Nidhogg.
final slot at number 4.
So,
So we're putting
It's gotta be
Nidhogg.
Nidhogg. It's gotta be Nidhogg.
Yeah.
He's way more relevant than the other two right now.
I think Nidhogg is like fine. Nidhogg was able to keep green alive during some very dark, treacherous times. I
Yeah.
would love to put JP in there somewhere, but
His
My
ass
favorite
isn't a
Digimon.
Digimon yet.
yeah.
I got another shitter, so
It
we
could
have a
be-
rounded out list of
It
5.
could
Is it
be
by any
BTA
chance
Rapid one, but I think this is like
Yeah, I think this is the list. Is your shitter by any chance like a 3-cost Evo that does something, does bugger all as a hybrid by any chance? Now that we just
No,
mentioned
but
JP.
that is a great pick. No, I was gonna say my shitter is EX2 Parasimon.
Ooh, I was looking at him too.
yeah. Parasimon fucking sucks. That
The
card.
second Parasimon is so much better, but like the bar was the floor.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, I think it's because it's an end of attack. And
Yeah.
also you're losing all of your sources when you do this.
Yeah.
Its end of attack
It's,
is an 11k is not great either.
Yep. It's awful. There's no redeeming part of it. It's all negative value.
What are some good cards? What are some funny cards at least?
If it
Funny
wasn't
bad green cards.
if it wasn't a mega and there was a way to slot it with like Chimera or something, then maybe it would see some fringe use, but like card poo.
What are some cards that like really disappointed me?
You talked
The
about
2-color Micmon from BT12 sucks.
Oh, the Meekmon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not the Leopardmon support one, the like generic
Oh.
one that still plays with Gatomon because it's yellow.
Oh, that one. That
This
card-
card's
It
like
saw fringe play in like BT13 Leopard.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a 4-drop Stingmon that
it's so
costs
tough.
twice as much to evolve.
It saw very fringe play.
It's so bad. So we've already used Shotmon Cross 2 as the worst red Digimon, but he could be the worst green Digimon.
He could,
So we're not forgetting him. We're just trying not to use him again.
What about the Tyrannomons? Because they have had some cards.
How dare you?
They have had some cards that are not very good.
Yeah, can I volunteer the worst Tyrannomon?
So this one.
No, it's not that. That one drastically more playable than some of the originals. I would like to nominate BT2 Tyrannomon.
Yeah, that card was not.
It's when Digivolving reveal the top 3 cards
Wait,
out of
BT2?
level 5. Yeah, the actual Tyrannomon.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Tyrannomon.
Tyrannomon. Yeah, at a level 5 Digimon, specifically in a green tamer.
So he was memory inefficient no matter what you did, and for your trouble, you got a bad search. The Metal Tyrannomon is significantly better. It is a non-once per turn unsuspend, but like the Tyrannomon itself is just like a garbage searcher that you'd never play.
Oh, fuck. Hold on. I just remember what I want to put in number 5.
What's that?
Puppetmon.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I put Puppetmon in, but like Puppetmon's just kind of been power crept by Quartz, right?
Yes, but I think like this card alongside like Tidemon were like the foundations of green. Like you could drop this guy and stun an Omnimon and be cool with it, and then like the card would like slowly refund itself. It is like more of like a piece of history thing more than like how good the card actually was. But if you want to have a card from like different generations, like, you know, in the early days, if you end up like, I think up until set 4, like Puppetmon was like one of Green's like best cards, and then in BT4 you had Nidhogg, and then later on you had like Bloom, and now you have like Rapid X and stuff like that in Quartz. You know, for the sake of like the earliest, bestest Green card,
I would be happy with him. I would be happy with him as an honorable mention.
Yeah,
sure.
It's really funny.
I just remembered what the bad card needs to be, and I know why it didn't come up until now. It's BT6 Morphomon.
And it's Morphomon. I was about to say every Morphomon, they just fucking suck.
BT6 Morphomon is a strictly shittier. Like searching top 5 is fine, but it's on delete.
On deletion.
Yeah, comparing it to the other newer one that they printed from the refresh pack, which is a searcher that searches top 3 and accelerates the board as well. Like, even irrespective of how bad Morphomon is and how damning Morphomon is in the context of green decks, this is the worst of Morphomon.
No, trust. Right. When Levia is forcing you to play it out and your on-plays are turned off, this card gonna go crazy.
Another card that I wanted to talk about was...
Is a shitter?
It was... well, I think this card is genuinely actually pretty good. It's the Jagamon.
Oh, the green gacha one?
Like green gacha is like this weird concept of a deck that, like, you know, the deck that never was, and then it kind of came back.
BT4? That's BT1, jeez.
Yeah. Jagamon and subsequently Mame Tyrannomon. Like, both of these guys sort of like, you know, once again, when green was going through some dark, treacherous times, they gave us some hope.
Is this the pick though, or would it be Tortomon? Because Izzy Mimi also kind of just does what this card does every time.
In an ideal world, you would have both. I don't think they're like the best green cards of all time. Just some cards.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that like of the green gacha engine, like I'd probably say like like this guy lets you cheat, like straight up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I know a big stinker that I really don't like. Gotsumon.
Oh, the other green gacha shitter?
Bro, I forgot they had one.
Yeah, add one from, or lose one from hand, place on top of the deck.
How would you even play this during a chain?
Gotsu and Betamon. Green Hybrid, when it was being like released and theory crafted with, you didn't really have a ton of options for your green rookies. You were either playing like Floodgate Terriermon or you were playing this guy, and you know.
I had blocked out Betamon. I forgot about it.
Yeah,
right?
we were using Tento, I think
Bro, they were playing Watermelon.
Yeah, like, so basically it got to Tentomon is also pretty good.
Tentomon's
like,
maybe is it worse?
This card was pretty good for its time. Like, considering that it was a strict, you know, +1 most of the time, it was fine. I didn't hate it. But Betamon just fucking sucked. In fact, it was so bad for Green Hybrid, and the reason why the deck kind of stayed like low-key bad up until we got it in the West was because the green base just didn't do anything.
Yeah, they had to play the red base or blue base.
We just played red base instead or blue base. And it wasn't up until EX2 where I was like, you know what, guys? These Terriermon cards are pretty efficient. And then, you know, Green Hybrid kind of popped off. But yeah, but Betamon kind of sucks. Same thing with Kokabu Terriermon. I hate Kokabu Terriermon. Can that be the number one? Like, that card actually pisses me off.
He's actually crazy because he's got like, is he worse than Morphomon for you? I think Morphomon is probably...
No, Morphomon is number one.
Morphomon is the all-time worst thing, right?
Kokabu Terrier, then Morphomon. I hate both of them.
And then it's like, gotta be Medieval, right? Because like... That is
Medieval sucks, but he's not as egregious because he
I
wasn't
like Medieval
eating
as 5.
EX cards kind of get like loved in that way because they're not like directly competing with your deck for color support.
A Bonu can go to like maybe number 4. Like the fact that it got outshadowed by a rare speaks volumes of how bad.
And then it comes down to which.
Oh, can we do options? Are we doing options?
Nah, that's gonna be a different video.
A later point for more bonus.
No, again, I hate you.
Don't worry, you'll be back on for the green one.
If you want like a recent example of a bad card.
Oh, guys, okay, I'll throw you a bone here, but BT4 Dokunemon has to be the third worst one. Like, in terms of, like, actual cards that they expected us to play, like, ST9 Kokabu Terriermon and DT6 Morphomon are almost not for green decks. They're that bad. Dokunemon is legit intentional support for Digiburst. He sucks.
No, I was just gonna say Babamon.
Oh.
Have they printed a good Bubamon? On
This
play.
curse doesn't do anything.
Why
It just
does
has no home.
Why is it always on deletion? Why do they keep doing this?
I don't know.
On play on deletion minus
Because like it's end of
16k.
opponent's turn.
By deleting this Digimon, play a Rosemon.
I played this in pre-release to kill Publimons. So that was something.
Play and then activate the when Digivolve. Hey, yo, that's kind of sauce, actually.
It's kind of sauced if if this card actually makes it back to you.
Why is it not a fairy?
Oh,
It
it's
would at least be playable.
End of opponent's turn. That is the worst time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is. I think the intent was this was supposed to be Rosemon burst mode support, but like Lamau.
Or I can give you BT14 Okuamon. That card also sucks.
Oh yeah, that card's ass.
That card is very bad.
BT4.
Oh, cool.
14.
14. Oh, cool.
Yep, that one.
End of opponent's turn. Once per turn, by suspending one of your Digimon, reveal the top 5 card deck. Add 2 green Digimon cards among them to your hand. Return the rest of them. Why are we searching at the end of opponent's turn? That is only good if you're a
Good
tamer.
idea.
That is a tamer effect.
Yeah. It's awful.
There's a couple stinkers. As long as Morphomon is number 1, I don't care. Morphomon and Kokabutariumon, as long as they're 1 and 2, everything else to me, it's like, you guys can't possibly be worse than those.
I think it might be Okuamon. Actually, no. The Dokunemon. Like, so the Dokunemon.
They really thought we were supposed to play Dokunemon.
The Okuamon I just hate as a concept because it's like, stay on a 7k level 5.
At least he's a bug.
So for essentially, this was, guys, have you guys read Genai? You could play like Genai into Okuamon, and then it would be like, wow, your opponent swings, you braze this, it's safe, and then end of opponent's turn, you get your search, and look at that, it's so cool. Yeah, it fucking sucks.
We'll put, you know what, for Legacy, I think it's Dokunemon because like reading that card hurt. Like beta.
Even if you go back to like profiles at the time, I doubt any of them were playing Dokunemon.
Yeah, that card sucks, man.
Like Betamon, you might still see as a like we got nothing else if you want to stay monocolor.
Well, like the best Digiburst cards were either the actual Digiburst pieces themselves and they were broken, or they were the zero cost Evos that were just the fastest way to Digiburst.
Leomon was great. Like this card was like peak Digiburst 2 to suspend 1. What else do you want?
Very good. But like they just sort of have this thing where it's like, unless you were finding this, like you were just better playing no cost evolutions to Digiburst faster. And like Dokunemon didn't do that. It sucked. It just misses the point entirely.
The other fun thing about Leomon is that like because you were able to suspend an opponent's Digimon, I set up for like random unsuspends or like second bodies. Stuff like that. Good ass card.
I think that's pretty much all the archetypes I wanted to Omega shit on. I know we've had some people talk about Examon. I don't think we
don't claim him.
Yeah.
I think he ended up on one of the blues. I think
it's Quartzmon blue is like crazy, but like it's not gonna work. So I leave Examon out.
Yeah, I think this guy ended up on the Bozo list.
Yeah.
Oh, Sneemon, yeah, good card.
Sneemon's a good card. It saved my ass a bunch of times against like Alpha. Because it played itself after the end of the attack. Or after the end of the battle. And Alphamon unsuspends end of attack. So like they would unsuspend, then the Sneemon would come down and would suspend them.
They'd get caught,
Yeah. Sneemon was actually the best security bomb in Grandis.
Good ST9 card.
Yeah. It was also like the swing for game.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
thank God we're doing this in 16 because the just wave of cards over this summer are horrifying.
Yeah, the goal is to try and get the yellow one out before.
Try not to think about Paladin mode for too long.
We need yellow to come out before EX. EX. Have we done purple?
No.
Yeah, I don't think you guys.
Oh my gosh.
We've not done purple. I started working on my purple picks. There are so many bad purple Digimon.
Oh, purple is like a little bad.
Yeah, so I think Terry's back next week, so we'll be doing yellow next week, and we'll do purple straight after that, and then hopefully they'll all be out before EX6, and then we can start talking tamers or options or something like that. But yeah, if this is public and you're seeing this, consider joining the memberships to get these early, because then you can see us like try and spitball into a new future rather than being able to go, well, actually, the data shows. But yeah, also if you're paying for this, appreciate all the support. These are fun. Racking our brains. Just finding bad Digimon is like low-key mad fun.
Today, this and the podcast were very thought-intensive sessions of Digimon, and I kind of had a thought that it's like, you guys ever think about like specialist information, like between the three of us, how much niche shit we know about the history of the Digimon TCG?
Too much.
Like, you know, it's like somebody got to write a book or something, so this shit doesn't get lost when something happens.
When people go, oh yeah, I've been playing since like BT like 6, and I'm like, only BT 6? Damn.
Yeah, you
or like
play
when people
Discord games.
Or like when people are like, oh, I've been playing since like EX3, and I'm like, 2 years into the game, I've been here since day 0. I was watching card protag footage when the game wasn't even out in the West.
Yeah, this was the spinoff off Dragon Ball.
Thanks Battle Spirits. Thanks for the collab. We're here because of Battle Spirits, everyone.
Yeah. Big ups.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, I think we'll call it there. Appreciate everyone again for the support. We'll see you in the next Boko or the podcast. Smiley face.
Baba Booey.
You said Baba Booey this time. What the hell, dude?